Welcome to another episode of the Achieve Podcast, the show where we highlight leaders, creators, and entrepreneurs who are building meaningful businesses, shaping their industries, and having an impact. I'm Taylor, your host, and today excited to be joined by Caitlin Antel-Wilson, the founder and CEO of Full Good, and you can find them at fullgoodfulfillment.com. Now, Caitlin, first off, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. This is so fun. It's my LinkedIn buddy.
Yes. And so we've been going back and forth trying to get this recording for a little while. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we got it done.
Gotta love, I've met some lovely people on LinkedIn. I think it's a wonderful networking tool. So
true.
Thank you.
True.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on and sharing, because I'm excited to unpackage this. Give us the backstory real quick, how you got into this space that you're in, because it's a bit of a niche.
Yeah, it is a niche. I will give you, because we have a little bit of time, I'll give you a little bit of a story. And I will try my best to keep it shorter so we could dive in a little bit more. I originally was involved in the farming industry. My family farms fresh produce, Western veg produce, and we farm in the Salinas Valleys where our headquarters is, and then down in Yuma, and then we have a hydroponic facility as well, and over in Livingston, Tennessee. So I left my family business. I worked with my family, had a great time, and I ran a lot of delivered sales for my family, and that just means that we grew the produce, and then we worked with major retailers to work on fresh delivery, and so we actually worked through developing programming that prevented sellout from happening at the store level. So heads of lettuce were always on the shelf. So that was a delivered sales initiative that we worked on. And then I helped with our freight department and kind of a few other really fun things that I learned with my family. And then I chose to walk away when I became a mom. I still, love my family business and whatnot, but becoming a mom, had a great time, took some time off, and then was brought back into the logistics and operational space by way of a friend was bringing a fresh frozen dog food company to market. And
Okay.
I got involved in helping that company kind of come to market. So in the creation of their recipes and kind of sourcing the ingredients. I didn't create the recipes myself, but really helping them with sourcing. And then, next steps, how is it going to be fulfilled? How is it going to be stored? Things like that. And when I went through that, I really discovered the lack of transparency and support for CPG brands, specifically frozen, but also refrigerated and dry relative to just food and beverage in general. So there are a ton of 3PLs across our country and North America in general. I mean, like thousands, I think. So there's a lot of great service providers out there, but there's not a ton of service providers that really solely focus on food and beverage. And so I, cut my teeth with that first brand, and then was like, wow, geez, this is something. We have something here. And so started with a really small group of brands, rented a really small space from a gentleman, and then from there kind of proved the business concept, went into our first facility down in Denver proper. It was like right at I-25 and I-70, so right in the heart of Denver. And then grew the business, and we actually just moved into our brand new space in January, that we just finished like a full custom build out. We have a really great, like a massive refrigerator to drive forklifts into, and then it goes into the freezer. And we're working on, we're pending our GMP certification. You have to have 6 months of data to get that certification done. And so we're really just growing this thing now. I've been doing it with my team for 4 years now, or going on 4 years. We also, we're kind of just trying to provide that like white glove, high touch support to emerging food and beverage brands. And then we work with a number of like kind of legacy household name brands as well. But it's, as a founder of one of those food and beverage brands, it's like, it's so daunting. Like, I've created this product, I've come to market, I've website, and I have a co-manufacturer, and then the what now happens. And so that's where our team steps in, and we offer a lot of like really great services. Even if people don't want to move into our warehouse here in Denver, Colorado, it's can we support you by way of our agency aspect and who we know in the industry. So I've got some great team members that are awesome at just providing that support. So yeah, that's what we do here at Full Good, high level. So.
And how big is the team right now?
There are 23 people working with me. So we've got forklift drivers, we've got all the way, picker packers. And then I've got a great office team that I believe heavily in AI as a support, but that doesn't necessarily replace the human element. So we do have a really robust client services team, and there's always someone to answer the phone, which is lovely. That's another differentiator for us in the fulfillment and logistics space nowadays. Not a 1-800 number that you have to call. That is something I'm going to focus on, like while we scale this thing. Our goal is to go national with it. So it's going to be we're going to have to be really strategic about how we keep that human element, especially nowadays. So
yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
And so what would you say is driving growth right now for the organization?
I think that, again, back to what I said earlier, I think word is getting out with proper support for food and beverage, that you can't necessarily just be at a big fulfillment center where you might be saving 10 cents because of their volume versus what we pump out every day. We are a little bit more expensive, but it's not out of the norm. We're not priced out of the market by any means, but as a price sensitive brand, sometimes you make a choice and then you decide, oh geez, I actually needed more support. So that is really what we're finding, that's bringing brands to us and founders to us, is the need to really have an operational partner. And again, something else that computers can't replace and AI, and robots can't replace. Well, I have to say we do utilize AI quite a bit, and it's really quite exciting. And we actually are kind of exploring the use of robots and whatnot. And I know a lot of warehouses use a lot of really cool things, but there's always got to be that human element too. So that's kind of what we're known for, is bringing that touch.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, looking back for you personally, what turning points, positive or negative, have kind of molded the way you think about running the organization?
When I was younger, working at our family's business, my last name was on every box that we pumped out, every lettuce, romaine, broccoli, right? My maiden name, Antle, was on every box. So good, bad, or indifferent. I took that, that was really a part of me, was every box that left our facility, I felt tied to. And so I kind of came up in the ops space with that mentality. So what I actually do to drive culture here at Full Good is really, empowering and trying to get my team to think like an owner, and to think like they really are, like their name is on every box, like that leaves our facility. So that, that was, I think, like a turning point for me, was like, this is about me, but how do I translate this into kind of teaching that approach? And I think it is a muscle that has to be, you can't just sit in a classroom and learn something like that. I think it is such an art. And I think you have a choice to live that way or not, right? As it relates to the white glove approach, if you will. And so that is something I'm really passionate about. So there's a lot of fun initiatives, some things that we're working on to kind of drive that through. So
that's awesome. And yeah, I understand. I can relate to that a little. My grandfather was a chicken farmer and mass chickens. And so the name, the reputation that comes with that.
Yeah. And I think, what's really interesting is like reputation. It's not about, it's such a personal thing. And I think not a lot of people realize, like, it's not just about the company you work at or, what you do for work. All of those things have reputation as well, but how can your reputation as a person come through? And so, and I think that is so powerful. And if you can understand that element, that goes with you the rest of your life. So, to really, drive that forth is what we're focusing on. There's an initiative that we started this year, actually. I don't know how many other people you've talked to about that kind of culture stuff, but there's at the end of the day, we are a warehouse and we are doing people's orders for them and we are maintaining their inventory and we are their doers. And so it's not great sexy work. But what could be really, really fun is how we do it and the approach by which we do it. And so, relative to the reputation piece, but this year actually at Full Good is our year of being invaluable. And so we chose a word of the year. I actually chose it for our team this year, but I'm hoping that next year we can, kind of work collectively as a team, but to come up with a great word that we can all live by and kind of learn about as a team. And so, we have these great like rubber band bracelets, like kind of like the Live Strong bracelets were for a long time, and they're really cool. They're like tie dye, and they say invaluable on them with the year 2026 on the back. And we've given autonomy to our entire team to gift the bracelet of the week, to a team member that they feel has shown to be invaluable. So I don't know, just like little fun things like that. I love kind of thinking more about, we do this work thing, right? We all do this work thing so much of our life. We're all at work, arguably more than we are with our kiddos and with our spouses. So how can we be better people as a result of the work that we're doing? And so that's like a really big part of who Full Good is too. So
I love that. You're really building a strong culture and ethos there.
Yeah, I love it too. It's fun.
So this next question is kind of a two-part question. When it comes to your messaging, your outreach, your marketing systems, what's been working well for you guys?
It's so interesting. Yeah, I just had, sorry if that was just like the first question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's so interesting because, for so long, we're going into our fourth year of business. It's just been word of mouth. And it's interesting because I know that that's not sustainable. And we're actually doing a revamp on our website right now. And I heard this great director of sales that's kind of also dovetailing into some marketing stuff, some fun things with me. And we've got some other team members that help with like newsletters and things like that. But yeah, it's so interesting because the word of mouth thing is working for us. And I think it's also the showing up thing. And I was talking to someone the other day about, again, back to the whole AI thing and will all these jobs be replaced and, all the things. And I think that at the end of the day, the human element of just showing up. So showing up to the networking events, showing up to, what big industry things within the food and beverage space can we be a part of? And so we've been really kind of bolstering that stuff. And there's some really great groups that we're involved in by way of sponsorship in the food and beverage space. And so that's worked for us as well. I think kind of those two things really, and being authentic to who Full Good is, that so far has worked for us. I have not played with SEO yet. I haven't played with like advertising yet. I haven't done any of that stuff. And I know I probably will someday, especially as we take this thing national, like someday, probably very soon. But yeah, so far that it's so interesting that that's been working for us. I think good. Because of that though, it's back to your reputation, right? And so because so-and-so introduced us to so-and-so, it's even that much more pressure. And my team gets it and they understand that and they show up. So I'm really proud of who we have working here and the fact that they get it.
That's good. And I love that statement. Just show up.
Just show up. Yeah.
Like showing up to the gym or showing up for anything else, like just showing up.
It's hard to show up. It's hard, it's hard to show up consistently. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the second part of that question is, where do you feel like you're still leaving money on the table or there's still opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day too, what we're doing here is really trying to flip the script, like on the fulfillment and logistics piece of our country, by way of food and beverage. And what I mean by that is, I think there's still a lot of money on the table for us to expand, like footprint wise. I think that, flipping the script involves being different, and it's kind of lonely sometimes to be different.
Yeah.
But I think in my space in particular, I mean, I have yet to meet another female food and beverage logistics and freight provider, that, fulfillment logistics provider that is female founded. So, I think it's interesting to consider, things that are left on the table would be our growth. Not to bring kind of all those elements into it, but it kind of all has to do with it. So yeah, I don't know. I would have to like kind of really sit down and think about like a broad answer for you there. But I have very specific answers to that question. Yeah.
Okay. And so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And now, you mentioned earlier it was getting into AI and automation. Like,
Yeah.
where have you guys found ways to utilize it internally, and where are you still exploring?
Yeah. So, one thing I will speak to the exploring stuff. The one thing that we have utilized is a lot of, AI is helping us with reading, how to pick orders quicker, how to do things better. So I would say efficiency is the answer for that. The second part, the exploring part, we're exploring robots that are able to unload trucks or are able to do things that might be mundane, might be very simplistic for a human. And when I say simplistic, like kind of a repetitive task.
Yeah.
So we are exploring, like that's kind of, those are the two things that we're focusing on now. Relative to AI too, I think our almost entire onboarding process is about to be turned on with AI. Our VP of Tech has worked really, really hard on something really cool there. And that, there's still going to be a big human element, but it's, hey, client, enter all of your things here. Here's how you do it. And then, so instead of tons of hours, but by both way of our client as well as my team, really like, as in a lot of business, when you're B2B, client onboarding is like a huge lift usually. And so we're exploring kind of where in our company those lifts are, that we can, make a little bit like better, with AI. So, that I think is part of our Q2 initiative, which we have our initiatives meeting next week. So I'm really excited about it. We work on rocks and all the things, right, every quarter. So, but yeah, it's not to be ignored, this AI and robot stuff. So
Yeah.
the leaning in is important. So
I like that. That's a good way to put it. Leaning in.
yeah.
So when you look at your own journey and the next phases of the business, what are you most excited about?
I am really passionate about our food system in general. And I'm really passionate about, by way of what we're doing here, leveling up and really flipping the script on fulfillment and logistics. I'm really passionate about bringing forth a safe food environment, for consumers. And, I'm sure you could attest to this, knowing that your family was in farming as well, or is in farming still. And, I think it's something that is just kind of tipped the ice. It's just kind of getting going in our country. I think a lot of other countries have really dialed it in because of, listen, our country's huge. And so we are really unique in the fact that we are transporting products, like in my past life, right? Transporting produce from the Salinas Valley all the way to the tippy top of our, of New York or, Maine. And so, it's coming from the same region. Which is very interesting. Whereas a lot of other countries they eat regionally and they don't mass produce and they don't do, a lot of the things that we do in our country to feed the millions of, mouths, that we feed every day. So what I'm passionate about there is supporting food and beverage founders that are not PepsiCo and that, are not the big players in our country, and supporting them to also have a seat at the table. I think what's really interesting about what we have in our warehouse, like little to no seed oil. There's very healthy, very, very clean ingredient products. There are some founders that have their products here that are moving and shaking their like little sector, whether it be peanut butter, whether it be pot stickers, they are asking the questions and they are producing the product that's healthier. And so that is something that has remained at the forefront for me. So whether it be my current vessel of Full Good or, other vessel someday down the road, I hope that this is forever and ever and ever, but my true goal is to really make an impact on our food system.
I love that. And I love that shift you're talking about.
Thank you.
Nationwide, like we've seen the downward spiral of our food and the quality of it.
Yeah.
And to see people not just talk about it, but take initiative. And
yeah, I think, it's really, Taylor, I think what's interesting is like we are all so affected now by health and more than ever. And I think that, I'm sure you could unfortunately attest to this. Like I've known far too many people that have been affected by health that I think if our food would, choices were to be different, that, things would be different. And I think, and I'm not saying that, we all have a choice every day to put the cheeseburger in our mouth versus the salad. But I think if the choices were different, then, but I will miss the cheeseburger. but anyway, I think that's a really big thing that's happening right now. And, I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about. I'm not going to do this alone, so another big thing that I'm working on is like, how can my little network, come together, and focus on what we can all do, then, cause I think then that little network can grow and become bigger and bigger and bigger, to make that impact really, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Everybody does a push in their sector, and that's how we do the whole thing. It's no one person.
Rising tides. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that quote. So, Caitlin, last question. If you had to pick one constraint to focus on and solve over the next 90 days, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. We are releasing even more technology. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next 90 days with my team, is supporting them through that. We are coming out with some really cool reporting. Again, back to kind of solving all the problems that we want to solve. It's, I think, if in 90 days I could solve the problem of that much more transparency for the brands that we service by way of really cool reporting and kind of all the things that we actually have 2 developers on staff that are really awesome guys. And yeah, they're working on some really cool things. It's just, I don't know how much you know about this, Taylor, but like developing proprietary software and technology is so wild. So while we bolster our software onto some really cool legacy products, we're developing some cool proprietary things. So that is what, and again, hopefully answering more questions so that these founders can go do what they do best and shaking up the food system. So
I love that. And you're facilitating those founders, making it happen. And the clarity that you're talking about, the clear reporting information and the timing and all that, that's crucial.
I hope we can get it done in 90 days. We'll see. It might lead into 90 more days, but we'll get something done over the course of 90. And I know that about my team. So that's great.
That's awesome. Well, Caitlin, thank you for coming on and sharing so much. Any final words for our listeners, other suggestions?
I think it's just so important nowadays to really draw the line in the sand, and whatever that line is for you as a person in business. I think there's just so much like uncertainty of, things in our world right now. And so I would just encourage, I say this a lot, but I just would encourage you, whoever's listening to this right now, to draw a line in the sand and try to make a difference in whatever you're doing, because it does matter, and to keep going and show up.
I love that. And then you brought up a very poignant point in my life where somebody did something, and I'm like, line in the sand, you will not beat me on this again. And
yes, there you go. And if it could be a positive thing too, right?
Yeah.
Like the line in the sand concept is like, again, another visual, but I think it doesn't need to always be negative. It could be positive, and I think having that mindset too, where, draw a line in the sand, be done with the negative or be done with that, or draw a line in the sand and choose the positive,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So good. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin. For those who want to learn more, they can reach out on LinkedIn or fullgoodfulfillment.com. Anywhere else you want to send them?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, we have fun on our Instagram. So every once in a while, there's we just did a really fun Olympics thing a few weeks ago during the Olympics. I don't know. I let the people that work here, I hope that they have fun I know that they have fun at their jobs. We work hard and we play hard, but yeah, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, all the things, we try to have fun. So
that's awesome. We'll have those in the show notes so people can check those out.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to today's sponsors of today's episode, Achieve Fractional, which provides fractional executive leadership for growing businesses. And if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend, with a colleague. If you're looking at getting your product moved, reach out to Caitlin and team, and they'll show you the best ways to do it and give you some insight. So reach out, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Achieve Podcast.